We go to our international newspaper review now. James Creedon with us in the story, in the studio. Good morning to you once again.
It is all a story.
It's all about
too many stories. Creating the narrative.
Only one studio though. Okay, behind the hunt for Bin Laden.
All right. Well, I'll just quickly whip through some of the front pages.
Yeah.
Bin Laden's bloody end. That's the International Herald Tribune this morning. Britain's The Guardian newspaper. US gets its man, but how did he hide for so long? A question on their front page headline. Britain's The Daily Telegraph. He died cowering behind his wife. That, of course, news that apparently he used his second wife as a human shield.
Unconfirmed that one, but
right,
could be true.
The Times, justice is done. That was part of Barack Obama's speech on Sunday night. But let's move to the New York Times website this morning. We don't have the American papers front pages just yet, but on their website, behind the hunt for Bin Laden, and they have some extraordinary photos, in particular this one which they've put on the front page of their website. This is a photo taken on Sunday afternoon in the Situation Room of the White House. It shows Barack Obama looking stony-faced. You've got Hillary Clinton, you've got the Defense Secretary, Mr. Gates, and the Vice President as well, Joe Biden. And they describe how much of the time was spent in silence. Here they watched the operation as it unfolded. Joe Biden apparently fingered his rosary beads, and the minutes passed like days. So it's an extraordinary scene that's being painted in that article in the New York Times.
It's incredibly tense.
Indeed, and that photo, the legend of the photo doesn't actually explain what's going on. It could even lead one to conclude falsely that they're actually following video footage or photographs of what's happening on the ground. And indeed, I suppose that is a question that many are still asking. When are we going to see video footage and photos? If we have a look at the Washington Post, John Brennan, who is Obama's chief counter-terrorism advisor, says that they're concerned the images could inflame public sentiment, that they're perhaps too gruesome. And so those are the questions that are now being asked. Senator Joseph Lieberman said unless Al-Qaeda itself acknowledges that that indeed Bin Laden has died, pictures may have to be released. Let's have a look at a headline in Metro. That's a free newspaper in New York. Osama Bin Laden, conspiracy theories thrive on lack of proof, and they say the burden of proof is now on Barack Obama because skepticism at home and abroad is growing louder. Now, to some other angles in, I suppose, the major news websites, Huffington Post, the pain goes on with a striking photo of the New York skyline, minus, of course, the Twin Towers. They speak to several family members of victims. John Field, who runs a 9/11 advocacy group, says, while I'm elated he's dead, I'm not doing a song and dance on anybody's grave. It's not going to bring anybody back. So that's one angle that's getting a lot of coverage in the American media. I suppose a reaction from family members of the victims of 9/11.
And also the story as well that Barack Obama is going to visit the scene of Ground Zero, in fact, on Thursday.
Absolutely. So that'll be amazing pictures, I'm sure, coming out of that on Thursday. Also in the New Yorker magazine's website, they're asking another question that is being asked here and there. Was it a legal operation? They point out that in the 1970s, then President Ford issued an executive order. No employee of the United States government shall engage in or conspire to engage in political assassination. They point out, though, that after 9/11, President Bush more or less acknowledged that the ban on assassination didn't apply to Bin Laden. So I suppose we're skirting around legalities here with what happened. So that's another question that's being asked. Just some other angles briefly. Foreign policy, Osama bin who? And that is, I suppose, a cynical take on the Pakistani attitude or the slight ambiguities of certain leaders. They have a profile of 11 different leaders, ambassadors, former presidents, and their slightly ambiguous take on Osama bin Laden over the years. Slate, the Slate's website, Fred Kaplan is asking, now what? This will certainly weaken Al-Qaeda, they say. It could even potentially lead to a settlement of the war in Afghanistan. They also look at that Pakistani conundrum, I suppose, in some senses. And we'll just finish with a look at the Daily Beast. GOP's 2012 jitters. And the GOP is, of course, the Republican Party in the US. A former House Republican leader thinks that this could dissuade some hopefuls from seeking the Republican ticket. He said a lot of people don't think Obama is vulnerable and are dropping out.
All right, James,
So,
thank you very much.
Good to
we shall see. Good to see what's in the international papers this morning. Thanks a lot.